Hello, hello. I messed something up. What did I mess up? shouldn't be that back there. What's going on? Give me a moment. I have this feeling that my computer may have decided that my second screen is my third screen and my third screen is my second screen. Let's see if I can change this in OBS without everything breaking. Hey, there we go. That is VS Code. All right, let's start this over. Hello, David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. Welcome to the stream. I see we have Micah, Boss MB on stream. Welcome, Micah. We got some pretty cool characters. I got a bald dude with a beard and a shield. Micah's rocking an orc with a mohawk and one of the monk robes. We're looking good. Hey, Smoloki, welcome to the stream. You kind of look like I would say that's a sort of blacksmith-looking character. The beard and the work overalls. Or maybe, like, I always go for blacksmith, but it could be any other kind of craftsman. Perhaps, I don't know, a carpenter? Or maybe a miner? Maybe you're, well, you know, you'd be dirty. I don't know, whatever. It's not important. Hey, Malcolm, welcome to the stream. We are, for the first time in a while, actually not doing VR stuff today. I don't know if you were here to do VR whatnot, Malcolm. But we are switching to GD extension things. Ideally, GD extension things. I guess it depends on how well things work. Hey, The Clean, welcome to the stream. You've got, that looks awesome with like the white braid and then the character with the darker skin. That's a cool contrast. Malcolm's got a soldier. Looks very soldier-like. How's everyone doing? How have you guys been for the last 2 weeks? How are your projects and whatever else you may have going on? From my end, the only thing that's been happening for me is GDC, and even this week, like, I've been back since Sunday. I got back. I've just been recovering from having been at GDC, so it's all still GDC, which was super fun, by the way. Here, I queued up an image from when the booth was getting set up, so I could show you guys what the Godot booth looked like. I will drop it over here. So I think this was before the conference actually started. I think this was like either the night before or something like that, before the people were coming down and we were scoping things out. I think I'm probably one of the heads that you can see back here. Possibly this is the front of my globe over there. I'm not entirely sure. But this is a pretty good picture to show kind of what we had going on in the booth. There were these 4 stations, which each had 2 screens, one on each side, showing different Godot games. We had a Steam Deck hidden inside of the cabinet for each one, and then like an Xbox controller or a keyboard and mouse, depending on the game. There are some games that only work to keyboard and mouse. Connected, Bluetoothed in. And I think there was like 2 slates of games. There was like a set of 8 games that showed in the morning and then a set of 8 games that showed in the afternoon. They're really cool games. We had Brotato. We had that Mziziziziziz game where you're like crawling on the ground with your arms. We had this one that looked really cool. It was like Circle of Kurzovin or something that I really wanted to play. It was like a kind of dwarf fortress actually sort of game, but you built a little encampment. We had just so many cool games. I won't even be able to name them all. Blastronaut. I have my little Blastronaut character. The creator of the game made these little 3D printed guys. But yeah, it was great. It was great. There were so many people from the Godot community coming to the booth and hanging out. I would say, so like in the first 2 days, we didn't have this booth. We had just like a little table in another building. And most of the other things at the table were different crypto things. So it was weird being like Godot in a sea of crypto. But on that day, those 2 days when we were at the table, maybe like 10% of the people even knew what Godot was. So it was basically just explaining what Godot is. And then when we got to the booth here, it was more like 50-50, like 50% people who knew what Godot was and were super excited and happy to see us there and just be Godot geeks together. And then the other 50% people who hadn't known what Godot was, and we had to bring them up to speed. Something that was really cool for me personally was just talking to a whole bunch of VR developers that I know and just really love their games and respect their work, saying they're experimenting with Godot, which this could be interesting to you, Malcolm. Hey, Ruben, welcome to the stream. I'm talking about GDC right now. We're having the GDC minute. Hey, Man Blast, welcome to the stream. The Godot booth was super cool. This, like I said earlier, for those who may not have been here right when I started the stream, this is an image from, I think, the night before we opened up the booth on the expo floor. Because the way it basically worked was there were 2 days of summits, and then we had like a little table in a different building by the summits, and then for the subsequent 3 days, the expo floor was open, and this was our booth. The booth was just awesome. It was awesome. But I was saying about VR developers. I talked to a guy from Alchemy, who they make the Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator games and a bunch of other cool stuff. And Bastian talked to what's the name of the developer? It's not coming to me right now, but it was crazy. We talked to a bunch of different like VR developers who make great VR games who are saying they're experimenting with Godot, and to some degree that was like, yeah, they're just making prototypes, or yeah, they like made some like sort of jam level things, but the fact that they're like evaluating it seriously is really, really cool. So yeah, the more that we can do with XR tools and improving the VR support in the engine, we have a lot of work to do on performance still, and from my end with WebXR like features, there's still quite a lot of WebXR features that I want to get in there, mostly AR stuff, but also some VR stuff. But yeah, it was cool. And like also again, like I'm sorry for going on so much VR stuff because I'm like an XR guy. That's what I'm hugely interested in. But I got to do a whole bunch of demos. I tried PSVR 2, which I hadn't had the opportunity to try yet. I got to do like 8 minutes of what's the Horizon Call of the Mountain. It was so lame. I mean, okay, so the hardware seems really cool, and it was great that I got to demo it, but like you had to go first thing in the morning over to the Sony booth to get an appointment to come back later to do one of the VR demos, and the appointments are like a half an hour apart. So there's like really not that many slots in a given day. They only had, I think, 4 headsets set up that you could try, and they cut you off at a particular point in the demo. So like I was playing Call of the Mountain. I got up to the part where you're right about to pick up the bow. You're going to shoot the bow for the first time. And she's like, okay, demo's over. I played for like 8 minutes. It was so ridiculous how short it was. But the hardware is cool. The game seemed cool too, except, I was mostly watching things and then doing like, here's how you move, which is like a waving your arms kind of locomotion thing. But I also did, I tried the Pico 4, which I hadn't previously tried. They had a much better demo experience. They had like, I don't know, 12 stations set up where they would have a headset connected to a TV so someone could be trying it and then everyone else around could be watching. And there was no appointments and no limits, and you could just like I actually came up and I really wanted to play Red Matter 2 because supposedly they did a bunch of work to make it look even better on the Pico 4. And so I'm standing at the Red Matter 2 station. I'm just waiting and watching this guy for, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. Like he was, putting a lot of effort into it. And then one of the sales people or booth working people, whatever you want to call them, comes up and she's like, "You want to try this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I really want to see this one." And she's like, "Oh, and well, you can use another headset." And she just like opens a cabinet that's full of more Pico 4 headsets and just grabs one and gives it to me. And I just got to play it like not connected to a TV, but I just got to play it. And you could, compared to the Sony experience, this was just much better. I got to really get into it, and they just basically had enough stuff for anyone who wanted to try it. I also tried the Pimax Crystal, which I really wanted to try because supposedly it has this huge FOV, like they advertise like a 140 degree FOV, and it didn't really seem like it had a very big FOV. I mean, it seemed normal. I put it on, I'm like, this is not distinguishable from the Quest 2, which I think is 110, or maybe it's the Quest Pro that has 110, I'm not sure, but it seemed comparable to what I'm used to. But that one was really cool too because the clarity was amazing. Like just really, really clear, really, really crisp picture. I also did a Nreal AR glasses demo, which was way better than I thought it would be. But yeah, I should stop talking about all these demos. I should get down to we should do some game dev on this stream. But yeah, it was super fun. I guess GDC in summary was a great time. I wish everyone could have been there. It was so cool. It was great too, like meeting people in the Godot community that I had never met in person. Bastian, who I have talked probably in total like a couple of hours on calls for like XR things. Got to actually hang out with him in person. Oh, me and him did. I'm going to talk about another demo. We did this. There's a company that makes these 3D TVs, but they're amazing. The way it works is there's a camera on the TV that watches where your eyes are positioned, and then it uses that to adjust the view on the screen, which makes it have like kind of like a 6DoF experience because you can move to the side and it can rotate the view. Like it can actually use your head position to adjust the scene. So it adjusts like the way that they're doing the 3D. That's like core function, but the game can actually be designed so that you turn this way and you actually see around the model. It's actually like using this telemetry from your head, and it's implemented with OpenXR. So of course Bastian's like, "Hey, let's try a Godot demo on it." So he tries it, and it doesn't work. It just crashes, and then he tells me about it, and then we make an appointment to go back there because they were just showing like they had 10 of these screens of different sizes and configurations and whatever with different things running on them, just in a hotel room in a hotel. So anyway, we go back there. And we're to try and debug it, to try and like figure out why Godot isn't working. And we did actually make some really good headway. We were able to trace down into which OpenXR call was crashing and determined that it was actually a problem in their OpenXR runtime. But that was so cool. You have to see it to really understand it. It gives like a feeling of maybe, I don't know, like a half meter of depth into the screen. And I was playing a Tomb Raider game, which was pretty cool. It kind of felt like you're looking into like a little diorama of Tomb Raider being played. And they had a laptop with it. They had a big giant 8K screen with it. They had all this different stuff. They were showing like Avatar in it or whatever. They had like a sort of 3D modeling tool they were showing, which I think that's probably the coolest use case because the sort of like ability to visualize the 3D better, I think could be a really good working tool. Anyway, that will be the last demo that I would think I will talk about. So yeah, Spelunky, thanks for I guess being interested or at least feigning interest. Malcolm says, "How does the arm waving movement feel? I hadn't really considered it for Godot XR tools. It sounds too easy to falsely trigger movement if you're using your hands a bunch." So I've played a bunch of different games with the arm waving movement. This one, it felt slow, which may be intentional. It could be just like a game design choice, or it could be like your character, I don't know, evolves and you get faster or something. I've definitely played arm waving movement things where you were much speedier. I think the Clean, didn't you make a game where it was like arm waving movement and shooting guns, I think? And another thing, I don't know if there's plans to do this in XR Tools, but I also particularly like the grab the air and pull kind of hand movement, like in Demio. But anyway, it felt sluggish in that particular experience. Kind of cool if Parallax 3D is making a comeback. There's some really good demo displays, but the tech never really went anywhere. Yeah, I never tried the 3D TVs in the past, but my understanding was you needed to wear glasses for them, and that it was basically designed for a single point. Like you had to be positioned precisely at a particular point to really get the effect. And to me, that sounds like the difference in VR between like a 3DOF and a 6DOF experience. So even in completely stationary things, when I'm in a 3DOF experience, which just means it only has rotation, it doesn't have lateral movement, it's nauseating. It's very uncomfortable for me. So like when I'm watching like a VR YouTube video where you can just look around, but if you move this way, like it just sticks to your head, it's like profoundly uncomfortable. And I know that's not the way for everyone. But if you have 6DOF, even when you're stationary, just it reacting to these like tiny little movements that you just naturally make when a human being is standing, the TV reacts. These new ones with the cameras react to your little tiny movements, and it just feels fantastic. Particularly that like 3D model viewing one that I was talking about, where you can kind of peek around to the other side of the model. Like that just feels fantastic. Parallax displays don't need glasses, but those didn't make it to the commercial. Okay, yeah. So this, I guess, is the same kind of thing. I guess it would be whatever, probably the same display technology, because I don't know how it works, but it's somehow, shooting two different images at slightly different directions to give the stereoscopic experience. And we were talking to this company about maybe lending us like one of their big giant screens to show at the Godot GDC booth next year, because I think it's very likely that there will be a Godot booth at GDC next year. The one downside that I would say to these 3D TVs is that it's a solo experience. If it picks up, like, so it does some sort of thing where it tries to determine which is the closest pair of eyes, and then it focuses on those. But any of the times, like someone was using one of the TVs and I was, a couple feet back watching it, you can't understand what's going on. It just looks like craziness. So you have this big giant, let's say 8K TV that's huge. One person can use it at a time. Like that I think is the biggest downside to this technology, and probably when we have like good AR and super comfortable VR headsets, they will probably completely replace this 3D TV technology, because you could have two people working together if they both have AR glasses, or if you're going to do like I'm going to 3D model all day with in this 3D whatever environment. If you had VR glasses or VR headset that was comfortable enough to wear all day, I think that would replace it too. But in the now times when it isn't comfortable to wear a VR headset all day long, like using it for modeling stuff, I think would be an amazing workflow improvement. All right, what did I miss in chat? You can adjust the head position, glass base. Oh, some people are doing that for simulation games. It's kind of convoluted. The way Parallax works is kind of like hologram stickers, postcards. Hey, Chillinger2. Wait, what are you writing? Is that like real words? Or are you a spammer? Are you a spammer, Chillinger? The Clean. The Parallax photo frames are using any cameras. Endless. I thought of fighting for TV priority with someone by having an eye widening contest. That would be an interesting game. Who's gonna widen their eyes enough to get the 3D display? TVs will always have a display in marketing, store displays, public ad screens. Yeah, I mean, so it works in a store if you're the only person standing in front of the TV at the time. Ads, I mean, they tend to be put in like real public places. Like you couldn't put one of these like in a metro station or a bus station or something, because it'd be full of like tons of people. and only one person at a time is going to see it, and it's probably going to jump between all the eyeballs all the time and look crazy. So I don't know. It's a technology that is super cool, but it may miss its window of usefulness, you know? Because I think there will be a point when AR and VR make this technology completely uninteresting, because we'll all have our own pair of, AR or mixed reality glasses or whatever, and it'll be just so much more convenient than having this TV that like just sucks onto one person. Like we'd be able to all walk up to the same wall and interact or view the same, virtual experience all within our own headsets. And that will definitely be better. But things like looking glass displays just project dozens of different views at the same time without any eye head tracking. Anyway, let's do some development. It's probably an emote. Oh. Yeah, that would make sense, that the way it came through in the chat aggregation was they emoted and it came through. I'm sorry, Chillinger 2, if I falsely accused you of being a bot. Seem to remember some research that used lasers to directly draw an image on the retina of the eye. Oh, interesting. Well, so no need for displays or headsets. You'd still probably okay, so if the laser is like on the wall, there's still a possibility of you turning too much and it like occluding, like it couldn't hit your eyeball. Like it might still make sense to have the laser like attached to your face, shooting it right into your eyes. I don't know. But I think I went to did the Tilt 5 demo too. Tilt 5 is so cool. Oh my god, it's like magic. Okay, so someone is working on Tilt 5 support for Godot, and like it's tricky because the Tilt 5 basically, its full value proposition doesn't come out until you have multiple headsets connected to the same machine, and that's a little bit tricky to pull off with Godot presently. Like if you're going to have 4 different, stereoscopic views being rendered from the same game. But man, that was a cool demo. Okay, so I did 2 apps, and I played it with just some random guy who happened to be waiting in line at the same time as me, and then he actually made a VR game that I played after that because we got talking, and then I went over to his booth and played his VR game, which was cool too. It was a roguelite shooter with only hand tracking. And I've played a bunch of hand tracking experiences in the past, and I've never played a hand tracking experience that was fast paced before, that could ever be described as fast paced. And this was fast paced. It was cool. I almost completely even forgot about that. But anyway, the Tilt 5, I did 2 demos. One was like actually a game-ish kind of thing you had on the mats. The way the Tilt 5 works, by the way, is it's glasses that are connected by a wire to a machine, and there's a mat that it's able to somehow project these 3D stereoscopic stuff when you're looking at the mat. And so on the mat, there was like a sort of nature scene with some trees and some islands and some water, and you could raise and lower the land and put trees and put water and all this stuff and whatever, and that was sort of cool. But the second demo, which is way simpler, it's like not even a thing, was way more interesting to me. They had like a CAD rendering of the Tilt 5 headset, or glasses, or whatever you want to call them. It's glasses, really. It's not a headset. And you could pull parts off of it and move them around. And while we were doing this, the guy who was giving us the demo at the booth held up a second mat behind. And with that there, I was able to like pick up a part like right in front of my face and really like scrutinize it, because it had the mat, below, so I could look down and see it, but it also had the mat behind, and like it looks great. It looks really great. And like the closer you get in, like the detail gets really intense. I don't know. I was imagining like, what if you just had a room covered in that material? Like it would be, I don't know. It was really cool. And I have no idea how that works. Like, I couldn't even begin to hypothesize how the technology works. Like, how does this mat come into the equation? I don't know. But it was really, really cool. So Tilt 5 is already to market, to answer Smoluki's question. I skipped over a bunch of questions. I will go back up. But yeah, so you can actually buy the Tilt 5. It's not even that expensive. I mean, it is expensive when you compare it to consumer electronics, but it's not that expensive when you compare it to like early stage, early adopter kind of things. I think you get like one headset for like $400, and then if you get two headsets at once, it's like $600, something like that. So it is within the realm of affordability for normal people, but I guess they have a shortage problem. They can't make them. They can't make as many as they want to, and as soon as they make them, they're already pre-sold. So you could get on the list, but yeah. There's actually a projector in the glasses which throws views rendered from your perspective onto the mat. The gray part of the mat reflects it back to your eyes. Yeah, the thing like that just blew my mind is you could just add more mats. You can add more mats and put them in different places, and it just does the thing. That was really cool. Okay, let me go back up in here. Intel had an AR glasses demo, something like that, I believe. Comfortable glasses, easy to pick up, already work on my centers. Yeah, so even like the Nreal AR demo, the Nreal booth was full of glasses that you could like pick up, and like they had them attached to different video game systems, so you could like play. I was playing God of War on a PlayStation 5 that was connected to the Nreal glasses, and it was basically just projecting a screen, a virtual screen in front of me, and that it was the resolution was good, and the clarity was good, and it wasn't too ghostly. So that was interesting. But despite them having like 15 stations doing that kind of stuff, they had only one person demoing true AR, and yeah, that I did get to do that demo. But yeah, it would be so much more compelling if they're just all those glasses laying around. You'd pick them up and you'd be thrown into a real AR experience, and not just like a let's put 2D things into the 3D world. And support for platinum independent side-by-side 3D too. Interesting. Yeah, so when I tried the Unreal, I was expecting it to. I had very low expectations. I was expecting it to be not good. But it was pretty good. Like I said, the God of War thing, but then when I did the actual AR demo, it was like there was like a squirrel who was like running around and like hiding things, and then there was this tree, and you had to walk around the tree and light these candles or whatever. But it and then you had the phone kind of acted like a pointer, so you would point the phone and then press a button, and that's how you would interact with things in the AR experience. The tracking was not perfect. It was not as good as, say, the Quests, any of them, but it was good enough that I could physically walk around this virtual tree and interact with it. And it was not, like I said with the God of War thing, it was not too ghostly, it was not too dim, the resolution was sufficient. The field of view, the horizontal field of view seemed fine. I guess I was expecting it to be worse. The vertical field of view was terrible. The vertical field of view was really, really bad. It could have done to be twice that. But I don't know, how that plays into a hardware effect. So you're doing a lot of this to see the full object, to get the full vertical. But I don't know. It was about 3 times better than what I thought it was going to be. I was expecting way down here, and it was, it was in the middle. It was a strongly medium experience. Anyway, I will attempt to not go on any more tangents into cool things that happened at GDC. Let's do some coding. So it has been I think January was the last time we worked on this project. We have been trying to port SG Physics 2D, which is my deterministic 2D physics engine, from Godot 3 to Godot 4. The biggest hurdle that we've been encountering this whole time is not the change from Godot 3 to Godot 4, it's that it was a module in Godot 3, and we're trying to make it into a GD extension in Godot 4, and we have gotten blocked by a number of GD extension bugs. And it's interesting too, because they're like SGPhysics 2D just adds a bunch of node types. Like that's all it does. It's not doing anything that you would expect to be deep and difficult in GD extension. It just turns out that GD extension has like a lot of like fundamental little issues all over the place. So one of them, the one that had blocked us when we first started, was this issue where, hang on, let me drink my tea. I've been holding this tea in my hand for too long. It was this issue where if you created, how exactly did it go? Okay, so in GD extension, you have objects that exist in Godot, the engine, and then you have like wrapper objects that exist in the GD extension land in C++. And it was if you took if you took a object from Godot land and passed it into a function in GD extension land, it would get wrapped in an object on the GD extension side of whatever the argument type was. Okay, so that's what it was. So like, let's say you have a, I don't know, sprite 2D, and you pass it into a function that takes a node 2D. It would create a node 2D wrapper for it on the GD extension side rather than creating a sprite 2D wrapper. And that created all sorts of problems because, yeah, once the wrapper was created, it's cached and would never be recreated differently. That was just that was the wrapper object forever for that particular node type. And we, yeah, I don't know if we did this on stream or if I did it off stream, but I did end up implementing a very deep fix for that. It involved changing stuff in Godot. It involved changing stuff in Godot CPP. So now we have things working to some degree. I guess let's dig into that. Let me show you what's working. So, what's the best way to show that? I guess in the editor. We'll just kick off an instance of the editor compiled with the patch I was just talking about. And I've already compiled, because I was working on this yesterday, to try and get myself back up to speed because I hadn't worked on it in a while. All right, so our node types exist. They come in, they're here. We have our SG collision object 2D. Here's one of our shapes. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, a really awesome thing. So we have some functional tests and some unit tests for SGPhysics 2D that run with GUT, the Godot unit test add-on. And previously, we couldn't run them when we were working on this back in January because there wasn't a fully working version of GUT for Godot 4. There is now. So we can actually run the tests. If I run them all, this will just crash. So what I've been doing is I've been going through like test by test and running them and seeing what happens. And I was actually able to get all of the unit tests running. Here I guess we'll run one of them or something. Yeah, so like the SG fixed transform 2D test, we can even open that up so you can see what's in it. So this is just creating some SG fixed transform 2D objects and doing some stuff with them and making sure we're getting the result we expect. And there's a GD extension bug in here that I had to work around. So the way this code was written originally was like this, where we're saying t equals SG fixed dot transform 2D, and then we're just passing this third argument, which takes an SG fixed vector 2. We're just creating it inline and passing it in. That doesn't work. That leads to a seg fault. And I don't know exactly why. I want to figure out why and maybe make an issue or a PR or something to fix it. But if I put it in a variable and then pass it in the variable, it doesn't seg fault. And I have a couple of theories. One is that there's some lifetime issue where before this function actually gets called, the SG fixed vector 2 gets destroyed. That it could be like the reference is going away, and then it gets destroyed, and then the function gets called with a now invalid piece of memory. So that could be the cause of the seg fault. There's also a whole bunch of issues in Godot CPP, some with PRs, about passing ref counted objects into GD extension, and it could be that, although reading through those PRs and the descriptions of the issues, like it seems like that is a different thing, but I don't really know. I didn't test it. So what I really should do at some point is apply those patches, apply those PRs, and see if it fixes it. And if it doesn't, then dig deeper to see if there's something else going on, like the lifetime idea that I had. Anyway, this test will actually run after I made that change. It'll run and it'll pass. Yay, 1 test passed, 0 failed. 21 of 21 assertions. And getting down to the functional tests now. This is the real deal. The functional tests all involve like creating some of the SG Physics 2D nodes and doing stuff with them and making sure that they work as expected. So I started on to this next one, which is the SG Area 2D test. And this one does not pass. Let's just execute it so you can see. And then I'm thinking we'll actually dig into attempting to debug this particular issue. There are other issues though. There's no shortage of issues for us to look into. So looking at the tests, basically it appears that we are saying like get overlapping bodies or whatever, get overlapping areas. I'm not sure. Look at the code. Get overlapping bodies, and then yeah, down here we're doing get overlapping areas and overlapping area collisions. And what we're getting is just an array that contains null rather than the actual object. And I have an idea about what that might be, although I haven't looked into it yet. There was another issue with GD extension that I thought I had worked around, but I might not have, or at least maybe there's some bugs in my workaround. One of the other issues that we encountered is that the way that SG Physics 2D works is we have this physics server, not the Godot physics server, but our own physics server, which does like it interfaces to the real physics engine, because there's like a real underlying physics engine that we created, and then there's some Godot nodes that interface with it, right? And it's set up similar to the way Godot does this, where there's a physics server that sort of acts as a layer over the underlying physics engine, and then the nodes interact with the physics server. So you would create an SG whatever collision object. Let's go find where that code is. SG collision, I think object does this. Yeah, so you create an SG collision object 2D, and it is actually, well, I guess, okay, because this has child classes. Too much indirection. Let's go to SG area 2D. So you create an SG area 2D, and what it does in its constructor is it actually creates the real area in the physics engine by interacting with the physics server. So it'll call, SG physics 2D server, get singleton, collision object create, and it passes in the type from this enum, which is just area. And then we end up back over here where it does some generic stuff for all collision objects, the most important of which is this one, where it says collision object set data pointer, and it's passing in this. So what this is doing is it's basically saying this RID that I have here, I want to store a piece of data on it, just a blah void pointer, whatever, which represents the node. And this is important because when we detect a collision, we need a way to bubble that information back up to the node, right? We detect a collision in the physics server, or in the physics engine, right? Because the physics server is just a layer. And we need to bubble that up to the actual node. How do we know what node it refers to? Well, it's because of this data pointer. And we store this on it. The problem is, in GD extension, the wrapper isn't initialized until after the constructor completes. So, like in C++ and Godot, you do mem new. I don't know what that does in C++. I've never really looked into it, to be honest. But in GD extension, what it does is it creates the object, I think with a custom allocator, but then afterwards, it initializes the wrapper. But at this point, when we're in the constructor, the wrapper is still not initialized. So like there's things we can't do to the object without like it exploding. It'd be really amazing if we could somehow move the initialization of the wrapper into the constructor. And I suspect there might be a way to do it. Like it'll be really tricky. It'll have to unravel a whole bunch of spaghetti, and I may attempt it at some point soon. But I came up with a workaround, which I don't remember exactly how the workaround works. Let's jump over to the physics server, SG physics server 2D. I came up with this workaround where we would just like store the address and like not try to do anything with it until later or something. I can't remember how it worked. But the code for that is somewhere around here. Maybe looking in Git will be helpful, because I probably put it all in a single Git commit. Got past the issue of saying clear job data. I think maybe, hopefully. Yeah, I think this commit is the one. Let's take a look at it. Oops. Oh, come on. Copy and paste fail. There we go. Okay. So, oh, I know what the issue was. This function originally took a variant. So we had collision object set data took a variant, which should be fine because this should be storable in a variant, but because the wrapper hadn't been initialized yet, it couldn't be stored in a variant. So I added this internal set data pointer, which would just take the address without trying to wrap it in a variant, and then I have like the normal variant one, like call the pointer one. I think that's what it did. So then if we look here, yeah, and so then I had this internal data struct, which originally stored a variant, and I had to change it so that it's stored, because the way this works is you could set the data pointer to be either a node or a string. And it would always be a node if you had created the physics object by creating the node in Godot, but if you wanted to interact directly with the physics server and not create nodes at all, you still need to set something for the data, which I decided would be a string, because you need to be able to sort the physics objects. For determinism, one of the most important things is that everything always happens in the same order, in a deterministic order. And how do you say what order the physics objects should be evaluated in? Well, when you're using the Godot objects, it uses the node's scene tree order. So it will always order, it'll sort all of the physics objects in the order they are in the scene tree, the same way that Godot determines the order to call the process methods or all of the well, not the ready methods, that's a different kind of thing, but any of those like virtual methods like process or physics process, they get called in scene tree order. So we do the same thing here when the physics object is attached to a node, but if it's not, we still need to wait to order it. So you get to set a string, and then it just arbitrarily orders them by the string. And if for whatever reason you don't set anything, we record that and print like a warning because we cannot be truly deterministic unless we can sort the physics objects. Anyway, so then here, it's basically just, being restructured for this new way of doing it. So, okay, one possibility is that I screwed this up, that I made some mistake in trying to implement this new method. So let's examine that possibility. So if we look at our test, oh, interesting. I wonder if the collider is working, but the shape is failing. That's an interesting thought here. Okay, so let's look at this. So expected to equal shape wrapped 0, shape 1, shape 2 wrapped 0. This is in get overlapping area polygon collisions. Get overlapping area shape collisions. Area polygon collisions. Get overlapping area polygon collisions. Okay, so this is the right one. And it appears that the collider is working and the shape is failing. Okay. That might not be related to the thing I was just talking about at all. Because we get back to the collider by using that internal data. How do we get the shape? How does that happen? Probably in a similar way, right? I guess let's dig into get overlapping area collisions. That would be in get overlapping area collisions. Okay, so we end up in this method in the physics server. Check that it's an area. We get the world. We say world, get overlapping areas. I guess let's check out this get overlapping areas. Get overlapping areas. Okay, let's go back. I think the result handler might be where the magic is happening. Yes. Okay, so here we're casting to this shape data get object. I wonder, so SG internal data, SG object data. I wonder if I just didn't make the same set of changes that I was talking about a moment ago for the shapes. Maybe I did them for the objects, but not for the shapes. Let's examine that possibility. I think we need to go then to SG. Oh, interesting too is these both have to do with polygons. What if I made the change for both the objects and the shapes, but I forgot to do it specifically for polygons, because polygons get their own separate node type. That would be SG collision polygon. I guess the constructor. Yeah, okay, so shape set data. Here we go. I bet we have a shape set data pointer. Let's go to SG physics Physics 2D server. Shape set data. We don't have a shape set data pointer. Okay, so maybe all shapes are broken? Okay, let's just start down this path of adding this method that I think we need. Shape set data pointer. Or no, I guess let's go to shape set data. Hang on, let me copy the method signature here so I can create it more quickly. 2D server. Okay, and let's take a look at the way we did this for collision objects so we can steal more code from my past self. And this is a bunch of stuff. Let me just move this over here. Oop. Okay, so yeah. I think we want these checks that are here. I think this applies to shapes as well. So I'll steal some code from these checks. And this looks fine. Hey, Chaosifier! Welcome to the stream! You're welcome. I don't know exactly what you're thanking me for, but you are always welcome, my friend. You got a pretty cool character too, by the way. That big axe with what looks like a, I don't know, diamond or maybe magical metal kind of material there. Okay, and we're going to copy this stuff over. And I think actually we want this. Data. Get data, set data. P node. All right, I think that's how we want the signature of that to be. Let's jump back to the header file and make it match. So this will be P shape because all these ones are starting with P shape. This will be P node. I think we probably want this one to be P node as well. And back here. Okay, so I think this adds the method for shapes that we need to do that same workaround. Oh, Chaosfire says, my thanks goes for your job in making this wonderful assets. You are welcome. Thanks for using them. I'm looking over there because that's where I see the characters, but really I should be looking at the camera. Thanks for using the asset. Thanks for using SG Physics 2D. Okay, so we now have the method. Now we need to change the polygon SG collision polygon 2D class to actually call it. So here we say shape set data, and we want shape set data pointer. And I'm really unclear as to why we only need to do this in the polygons. We should need to do this in the normal collision shapes as well. So let's hop back over there. Yep. Pointer. Oh, you know what? I'm willing to bet that this isn't a problem here because this doesn't happen in the constructor. It happens later when the shape resource gets set. Let's change it anyway, though. There's no reason not to use the set shape set data pointer it'll be marginally faster. Or hang on, I want to search for set data. Yeah, okay, I think normal shapes worked on accident. And it was polygons failed because we were trying to do it in the constructor. Let me just try and find my way back to the polygon class, and I just want to make sure that we don't have set data anywhere else. Yep, okay, just there. Just there. I think that should be good. Let's look at the diff really quick. Oh, yeah, the diff is super dirty. Yeah, the diff is full of all sorts of junk from like doing the Godot 3 to 4 converter on the demo project and all sorts of wackiness. So let's be more targeted and let's look at the changes in the source directory. Yeah. Yeah, this seems good to me. Let's build it. Let's see what happens. Ray Indie Games, welcome to the stream. You got a sweet character. You got a crown and one of the magic staves. One of the magic staves. Is that the plural of staff? Staves? Anyway, welcome to the stream. All right, it built. Let's run the tests again. Just gonna close these. I don't know if you guys heard that, but my Alexa just came to life there. I was not talking to you. I was not talking to you, Alexa. Okay. See if we fix the issue. It'd be really cool if we did. We did! We fixed it! Wow. We're off to a good start here. One test down. All right, let's commit just those changes. And actually, maybe I'll spend a little bit of time looking at all of the changes in the diff here. I don't want to commit all of this stuff, by the way, until I've had a chance to evaluate it, because it's nice having like the differences easily available, just doing git diff. I suppose I could commit it all in like one isolated commit, and then I can refer back to that commit to see what things were changed. But I don't know. I've decided to go with this approach here. So let's add the source directory, everything in the source directory. I think this means all of this code is working because the tests are passing. So we'll say git add tests functional sg area to d. Anything else? No, I think that's good. Let's just take one last look at the staged diff. There's the code we did before. What were the changes in the GD files? Okay. I think all those changes were done by the Godot 3 to 4 converter, which apparently did it right for the most part. Add remove at. Okay, here's a mistake that the converter made. it changed a word in a comment from remove to remove at. So we'll fix that. That was in test sg area 2d remove at. Hey Ashton McAllen, welcome to the stream. I'm having fun. I don't know if the people watching are having fun. I hope so. Are you guys having fun? There's like a noticeable shift in tone from when I go from just chatting and hanging out to like actually working on a thing. And so I don't know. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying the stream as much as when we were just chatting about things that happened at GDC. Smoloki says, "Yeah, awesome, thanks." It is very heartening to hear. I don't know if like it's normal to be as self-conscious as I am on stream, but I'm really self-conscious on stream. Like people aren't commenting enough. Oh no, am I doing this wrong? Like all this kind of worries that I have. Okay, let's look at the diff one last time. Scrutinize these GD script changes. Yeah, that all looks good. That all looks good. Let's commit it. So got the test area, SG area 2D.gd functional test passing. Okay. That's awesome. So the next functional test, I think, is with kinematic bodies, which we will eventually rename to character bodies to match the way they're named to Godot 4. But like I mentioned a month ago, or 2 months ago, 2 months ago on the last time we were working on this on stream, we're going to get it working first, and then we're going to go back through and make all of the classes match their Godot 4 equivalents rather than their Godot 3 equivalents, because we want it to be kind of like a easy replacement for what people would be doing with the normal physics engine in Godot 4. So your enthusiasm for work on stream gets me to be productive too, so I don't chat much. Oh, well, that's cool. I think that's pretty normal. I think streamers practice a skill of learning to be less self-conscious. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on that skill. What is the stream 81? I'll maybe by stream 200. I think around 200, I'll be totally chill. All right. The next test, that is, I believe, this one, SG kinematic body 2D. We're going to go to the launch JSON and change this to launch that test. SG kinematic body 2D, and it was test SG kinematic body 2D. All right, let's see what typos I made there. What? It just passed. It just passed. That's awesome. So I know the demos aren't working. I guess we'll go on to the demos next. But I'm baffled. When do things ever just work? All right, so that test passes. Let's commit the changes that the Godot 3 to 4 converter made to the GD script here. Ooh. Okay, there's some problems here. We'll have to fix this. It renamed the names of some of these nodes from kinematic body to character body 3D, which is even off by a dimension. It's not even just the name that's wrong. We've switched from 2D to 3D. Yeah, okay, we're going to have to open these in the editor. We're going to have to rename those nodes to bring them to sanity. I don't think it... Oh, and it did the remove at thing too. So we'll have to fix these comments. We'll have to rename those nodes. I think functionally we should be okay, but I guess we'll know when we look at the projects. What happened here? D? Okay. Maybe these tests are not working, because look at that. That can't be right. That change can't be good. All right. So my presentation skills have improved so much. I went back and watched your Godot Git videos recently, and you're much more confident now. Thanks for saying. Yeah, I there's a couple of things I don't like about those Git videos, especially the first one. Like the audio's bad, and I don't know. But yeah, they are what they are. When it just works, don't question anything. It will stop working again soon. Usually, yeah, I think that's okay advice. Me too. In my projects, I'm actually more surprised when things work than when they don't. Yeah, we did. Okay, so I think I'm actually allowed to talk about this now. Up until now, I've been unable to talk about the work that I've been doing for W4 games. But I think I can talk about it now because we just spent a whole week talking about it at GDC. But it pertains to this, the trying it the first time thing. We were making some multiplayer services for Godot at W4 Games, and we were testing them by using them with the third-person shooter demo I don't know if you guys have tried this demo, but you're like a little robot guy with like a Mega Man shooty arm, and you shoot some things. There's some enemies. So Fabio made like a multiplayer version of it, and then I integrated our multiplayer services W4 stuff into it. And I tried it once, and then we tried it with like 16 people. Everyone at the company who was available to play that morning played it all together, like this 16-person match, and it just worked on the first try. It was also baffling. It was so cool, though. It was such a cool feeling to like just throw a thing together, try it, and have it succeed. All right, so we need to make these fixes. That is in test SG kinematic body 2D. All right, we're looking for remove at. Yes, remove at needs to be replaced with the original of just remove. All right, that was the first thing. And we need to open up this project in the editor. I guess I'll just do that in the command line rather than trying to modify the launch JSON. Chaos Fire, I'm assuming you're referring to that I'm doing work for W4 Games, which is so nice, and thank you. Download abilities, things. Yeah, when something works on the first try, I usually assume something's wrong. I accidentally ran the old test instead of the new test, and that's why I think it's working, but it's not actually working. Although that surprisingly turns out to be the case pretty often too. When it works on the first try, you're actually not really testing the right thing. So that's always a good thing to double check. All right, so we need to go to tests, functional, SG kinematic body. Let's open up these scenes. Yeah, this got changed to character body 3D. Let's go into the GD file and see what it's supposed to be called. It's just supposed to be called, I think, kinematic body 2D. I guess let's look at the diff to see what it was originally called, because I just want to have it not change, is ideally what I'd like to have happen here. So this is Move and Collide GD1. It was just kinematic body. Kinematic body. All right, and that should fix all that other stuff incidentally. We can move on to Move and Collide 2. Which probably is the exact same change. Kinematic body. And oop, what did I hit? There we go. Kinematic body. Hey Nyanel, welcome to the stream. GDC was amazing. We spent the first 30 minutes of this stream with me talking about GDC stuff. So I won't go into it too much now. But yeah, it was great. It was great. From a Godot perspective, from like just a personal being in there with the rest of the games industry and like being excited about other stuff that other people are doing and all of that, it was really cool. It was exhausting. I think, as of today, finally caught up on sleep, maybe, perhaps. I am yawning a lot, but the first couple days I was back, I was in miserable shape. Doing real good now, though. Okay, so I think that fixes Move and Collide 2. Let's move on to Move and Collide 3. This looks fine. Doesn't look like anything changed there. Yeah, I think this is fine. Where was that D, where the variable got renamed to D? That was in Move and Collide Concave. Let's go to move and collide concave. And the script. That's interesting. Oh. Yeah, the polygons are not going to show up in the editor because our editor plugins don't get loaded with GD extension yet. That's something we still have to figure out. I'm a little confused as to why this warning comes up because the points should still be there. They just shouldn't be visible in the editor. Something to look into at some point. Yeah, and this is baffling. Why did the Godot 3 to 4 converter rename this D? And why didn't we get an error when we tried to run it too? That's another thing. Okay, let's see if we can look at the original code and rename it back. So this should just all be... No, this code is just so totally wrong. It should be this one line. Perhaps using the Godot 3 to 4 converter on this project was a mistake. I'm not sure. I think it's worked well enough, especially with the help from Git to see like what did it change and was that sane or not. It definitely got this working, I think, quicker than if I had done it all by hand, but perhaps more annoyinglier. Because like some of these changes, just I would never have done anything this weird by hand. All right, the rest of this stuff looks good. Let's we'll add this in Git again, and then I can review the staged diff one last time. Now, did you gain anything? Did the project gain some exposure and attention? Yeah, the project got a ton of exposure. So I mentioned this earlier, but when we had the table in the first 2 days, maybe like 10% of the people had ever heard of Godot. And when we had the booth on the 3 subsequent days, maybe 50% of the people I talked to had heard of Godot ever. So the fact that we told a ton of people that Godot exists, and even the people we didn't tell got to walk up and see a giant booth that says Godot, and like, yeah, the project got a ton of exposure. I also personally gained a Steam Deck. I have a Steam Deck rocking out here under my desk. W4 bought 8 Steam Decks to demo Godot games, and didn't want to bring them back to Europe. So they were just given out to W4 folks who didn't already have a Steam Deck. So I got a Steam Deck. And that's awesome. I was probably going to get one anyway at some point because I really wanted one. Just they've been hard to get a hold of. But yeah, it was great. It was great in conclusion. All right, let's run these tests again. Let me just double check that launch still looks the way that it should. And then if it still works, I think this is ready to commit. I'm a little baffled by the code that was calling D dot whatever. Like, how did that not just totally crash? Let's make sure that code is running. So that was the concave. Here we go. Test, move, and collide concave. Test did not assert. Test did not assert. That's a sign that something's probably going wrong here. Let's look in the test, move, and collide concave. That was in, yeah, test kinematic body. Test SG kinematic body 2D. Let's look for concave. All right. Okay, so the not asserting, I think, is a sign that something's going wrong here. So we should be looping 200 times, calling move, and it should give it a collider, and every time it gives a collider, we're checking this normal. But this means it's never giving a collider. Which probably means something is going wrong. What was the other one that didn't assert? Collide slide on big polygon. Big polygon. So this one should definitely have asserted. I wonder if these have different names in Gut now or something? Like why? Let's connect to the Godot editor here. I wish I could just control click that guy, but it's not working for some reason. Ooh, there we go. I don't know, this looks like we're doing an assertion. Why would it say we're not asserting anything? Well, down here it says, yeah, okay, so this is a risk summary, did not assert, did not assert. Well, I think we should probably just commit what we have anyway, because it is cleaned up to some degree. I do think we need to figure out what's going on with this did not assert business. That is definitely a red flag of some kind. Talk to you on Discord later because I have focused on Android game release. Ooh, just released on iOS this month and now got to finish up with Gplay. Cool, that's awesome. Congrats on launching on iOS. When you launch on Android, send me a link because I don't have any iOS devices. But I'd love to check it out on Android. I just want a Godot pin. The Godot pins, man. I got a good. Where's my pin? Hang on a second. The Godot pins are awesome. I'll try to get it close to the camera so it's like visible. But yeah, we had 1,000 or 2,000 or something, I don't know, some huge number of pins, and they were really popular. I think in the end, someone stashed some of them so that we would have, so that, I guess I don't know if it's Godot, if the Godot Foundation or if it's W4, I'm not sure. Things get confusing when you're running around at GDC. But to save some for, I think, Gamescom. But otherwise, I think we would have given them all away. People loved the pins. Steam Deck is in the store. Pin is not. Yeah, Godot. It would be great if Godot had a merch store. I know there's like huge problems with that. There's like the two options of setting up a merch store. The one is that you use one of those services that just handles everything for you, but then the margins are so low that like, what's the point? Like the Godot project wouldn't really make any money on it. I guess the point is that then the merch would be in the world and that you'd see someone walking down the street with a Godot shirt. So I guess that's the point in that situation. And then the other option is like that the Godot Foundation hires a person whose only job is managing the store. But it would be really cool. It'd be really cool if Godot had a merch store. So we could all be wearing Godot t-shirts and Godot hats and Godot pins and all of that stuff. Oh, interesting. Failed to parse move and collide 3. Move and collide 3. Oh, here we go. Here's another issue. Okay, this was a bad conversion. Did I commit this yet? I was just saying we should commit it, and now I hope that I didn't. Let's say move and collide 3. Yeah, here we go. So this is the code it should be. And this too. Okay, it did a bunch of bad conversions here. I think our running on the first try thing, I think it didn't actually work. There's too many things here that this code would never have run. Or at least not not tested the thing we want it to test. Okay, so I think I got that fixed. Let's see if there's any others that are doing that same issue. Moving Collide 1. Let's get down to Collide 2. Moving Collide 2 looks fine. It was just Moving Collide 3 that had that bad junk there. Okay. Do you use light theme on your code editor the whole time, or is it just for stream? The whole time. It's easier on my eyes. I know lots and lots of people have the reverse situation where it's easier on their eyes to have the dark theme. But yeah, everyone's different. That's what I prefer. I don't know why I use Godot in a dark theme. I probably shouldn't. To fit in with my usual use of light themes, but I don't know, I've just never got around to switching it. If I did that, I would really annoy people. People on the stream are always complaining, like, why do you use light theme? If I use the light Godot theme, people won't even know it's Godot. Cancel tests, functional, SG kinematic body. Okay, so let's run the tests one more time just to see what happens. Now that we've made that code actually correct. Godot does have a light theme. I just never use it. Interesting. So we got a seg fault. So this seg fault is the exact same one that happened with the temporary variable thing, like earlier when I was showing the code where if I pass in the value directly, it seg faults, but if I put in a temporary variable first, it doesn't. It was in the same place in this mutex code. So my inclination would be to take a look at the Moving Collide 3, I guess, because that's the one we changed, and see if there's a spot where we could put something in a temporary variable. Oh, it's 4 spots. 4 spots. This is annoying. Okay, so we're going to have to do essentially... and let me copy the same comment that I'd put for this in the transform test. So we have to say v equals, and we'll copy this. And then we replace it with a v up here. Okay, and since I don't know if this works yet, I'm just going to convert only one, and then I'm going to run it. And if it works after having converted one, I'll convert the other 3. And I suppose we can take this moment to... I was going to try and see if I could quickly, before that finished doing it, find how we get the light theme enabled. Light. Here we go. Here's the Godot light theme. It looks real weird when the clear color is still that dark gray. I do like the contrast in the scene tree though. There's some real good contrast. Over here the contrast's a little fuzzy, like it's kind of hard to make out that X and Y. Yeah, much less good contrast over here in the inspector. But I'm gonna set it back. Until my eyes start hurting, I'm gonna leave it on the default. Oh yeah, and I remember we actually set up these scenes so that you could run them independently. I don't know what it's supposed to do. All right, so let's just get back on track to what we were working on before. We still segfaulted, I think. Yeah, we still segfaulted. Move and collide slide on big polygon. Okay, let's start there. It might not actually be there. When things crash, you can't necessarily trust what gets printed to the terminal because the text that gets pushed to the terminal gets buffered. So it could have written something else and then crashed before the buffer was able to be drawn to the screen. But since that's all the information we have, it's a reasonable place to start just to take a first peek. Move and collide on big polygon, which that goes into move and collide 3. So it is in move and collide 3. Or we think maybe it's in move and collide 3. Before, inside velocity, where's this velocity? Oh, so the velocity is coming from here. And distance to, this is a potential same issue. Let me try that. We'll say var v, we'll pull in this to do. We may have to store this in a temporary variable before we pass it. Or actually, movements append? That's just adding it to a list. That might not be the same issue. Well, let's try it. See what happens. Oh, I should have shown the dark themes looks nicer for me. Yeah, I mean, the whole point of themes is some look better for other people, and that's why we have them. I don't know why the whole like mainstream programming community has decided to hate on everyone who doesn't use a dark theme. But yeah, everyone should just use whatever they like best. I am very enthusiastic about people doing exactly what they want to be doing. As long as it doesn't cause any harm. I guess now I have to caveat that because I said it on the internet. Oh no. Okay, so something is leading to that seg fault. Let's comment things out to try and triangulate this issue. So we'll do sg, the main test file here. We'll try commenting out this whole method. And this will at least tell us, is it in this method or not, or do we need to keep looking? All right, so the seg fault is in that method. Moving collide still has the did not assert. I guess we have to look into that after we figure this out. I don't know, I did that manually. I could have used a regex to get rid of those, but whatever. Let's take a deeper look. What is this actually testing? What is this trying to do? So we have 4 kinematic bodies. We do this move and compare, which every time it moves it and compares it, it puts the movement into an array and stores the number of slides that we did. So slides meaning how many times did the kinematic body slide slide internally, slide within a single move and collide. So, I guess we can try removing this code, and that will at least narrow it down to, is it this thing over here, or is it this stuff in here? Okay, so it's that stuff in there. It's something in here. Let's try just doing this, these two lines, and we'll see if that works or not. Okay, that works. Let's just add this v before distance 2. And go. Okay, so it's that line. That line is leading to the seg fault. Or I guess this isn't technically a seg fault, is it? It's a fatal system error. Okay, so let's take a look at the code if we can get there. I have a theory. What if this needs to be in a variable? Ah, what did I hit? Because technically, this is a function call. Fixed position is a property that is a getter, which is get fixed position, like that. So let's see if this works. Oh, I didn't realize the debugger was already running. It's actually annoying in VS Code that, like, if the debugger's already running, pressing F5 stops it rather than restarts it. You have to do Control-Shift F5, and I always want it to restart it. Okay, cool. So that fixed the issue. I wish I knew what this bug was. So here we're going to append v2, and that should get us running that. There we go. So now that we know that that works as a method to fix the crash, let's extend that to all of these. I'm going to separate these because they're easy to read when it was only a single line, but now that each line has become 3 lines, put an empty line between them. Okay. Hey, there we go. We have test movement cloud on big polygon. Has some complaints about orphans, whatever. But it no longer says did not assert. Everything appears to be passing. We have really a lot of assertions. Okay, so that, what was the one that still had the did not assert? Because that's the next one to look into. Moving collide concave. Moving collide concave. So this is doing basically the same thing that has been crashing for us everywhere. I don't know why it's not crashing. This move is returning an SG collision object 2D, although perhaps it's returning null when it shouldn't be. Hey Logan, welcome to the stream! I had a great time at GDC. We spent the first 30 minutes on this stream talking about GDC, so I won't go too much into it now. But yeah, it was awesome. And so then I imagine you're back too now, right? You're back rocking things in the US. We should get together. We should play some mini golf. I'd love to hear about your trip, and I can tell you about GDC. It'd be good times. Yeah, there's a lot of really great pictures. I showed one at the beginning of the stream. I have like a whole drive full of pictures that other people took, and I don't want to show them all because I don't know. No one gave me permission to show any of those photos. And I didn't really take any pictures. I'm not a big picture-taking person. Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. It's actually been a really long time since I played mini golf. There's in fact a course that I haven't played, one that like messes with gravity and does all sorts of crazy things where the gravity is pointed towards the wall, or it changes through the course. And yeah, it would be the first time that I haven't like bought a new course from Walkabout Mini Golf like the day it came out. Just been so busy. Okay, so I think the issue is that this method is never returning anything when it should be occasionally returning an SG collision object 2D. Let's take a look at the actual test code. That's this one. It's also real weird that it has 4_i and then 4i. I think if we're going to do this _i, we should like stick with it. Okay, so input, vector to right, scene move input. Yeah, so this should be returning a collider from time to time. And the normal on the collider should not be 0. Let's add a check for this specific case. So if this comes up in the future, it'll be more obvious that this is failing. So we'll say like collision count equals 0. And then every time it collides, we'll increment this collision count. And then we're going to assert not equal collision count 0. So that should actually turn this from a mysterious, risky test to a failing test, which is an improvement. There we go. Wait, 0 expected to not equal 0. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. 0 expected to not equal 0. but there'd actually probably be a better way to frame this. I think greater than would make slightly more sense. Hey, Wenfrey, welcome to the stream. We have been progressing, surprisingly so. The stream has been making some steady progress. I don't know. I don't really have any kind of ETA as to when this will get to some sort of completion. Something that I don't think I mentioned on this stream, but I have been thinking about, is all of our problems with getting SG Physics 2D to work on Godot 4 are related to GD extension, and GD extension being full of bugs. And I do want to try and help with that, to help fix some of these bugs in GD extension. But as a short-term solution, I've been wondering if maybe I should make it so that SG Physics 2D can be compiled either as a module or a GD extension, so that I can have something working sooner, number one, and number two, it'll make it easier or clearer to show to other Godot contributors and maintainers, like, hey, this code does this in a module, and it does this in a GD extension. We should be making those two things be the same. Whereas right now, it's like, all I have to show is, it worked in Godot 3, and it's not working in Godot 4. And I think that would be a more compelling thing. So maybe at some point, I don't know if I'll do that on stream or just in general, add all the if-defs to get this compiling both as a module and a GD extension. But I don't know. We shall see. Okay, so when I change it to this and I run it again, does that give me a clearer assertion text? I can always just put in custom assertion text too. 0 is expected to be greater than 0. Okay, that's a little bit clearer. I like that. So why is it failing? This one will be a little bit hard to debug, because in the editor, we're just going to not see the polygon. I'm actually a little bit confused. Like, I don't remember adding support for concave polygons in the first place. But yeah, let's see if we can figure this out. So let's start up the editor. Moving clad concave. So we have an SG polygon 2D, but it won't show us in the editor because we haven't gotten our editor plugins to work in GD extension yet. So how on earth can we debug this? If I run the scene, let's try that. Let's just run the scene. Oh, and there is our polygon, which is not concave, is it? I mean, that looks very convex to me. None of these lines would intersect with the shape. And left and right are not working for some reason. Let's take a look at the input map. UI left, UI right. All of those look correct. Left, right, up, down. Physics process, get input vector, float from input. Let's print some stuff out here. Say print input vector input, and we'll do another one of these var v's. From float. Or is, I don't know if there is a %d. Let's try running this again. All right, I'm pressing some directions. Oop, I screwed up. This should be %sign to fill in those printf guys there. Run the scene. I'll move this over so I can see. Okay, that seems like it's putting the right values in, but move and collide appears to not be doing anything. I saw something filling up in there. Yeah, these. What are these? Can I see whatever we're getting 900 of? Can you guys see that, or is it behind my head? Looks like it's behind my head. Ah, what did I do? I broke everything. Okay, I'm not gonna mess with it. I was trying to in OBS move my face out of the way. But I may have made everything look wacky. Do things look okay on the stream, or did I like totally mess them up? I guess they look okay when I try to look at the stream myself. Or here we go. There we go. I'll just hit the little eyeball to hide my face. So I have 6,000 somethings happening here, but I don't know how to see what those are. Like, what is that? Like notices, toggle visibility of standard. Oh, those are just the standard output messages. Okay, never mind. That's normal stuff. That's what I expect. Okay. But move and collide is not doing anything. Okay. Our work done the first try, I think we can say pretty definitively that the working on the first try was an illusion. This is definitely not working. I think, where should we go look at first? Move and slide. And it's weird that we're using move and slide when this is the move and collide test. That actually seems kind of strange. Are we calling this slide left ever? Oh, what is this small separation test? We didn't look in this at all. So okay, thanks Winfrey or Smoloki for telling me that it looks okay, that I didn't totally break it. And yeah, I apologize, Winfrey, if the bottom banner thing was in the way. It's confusing. I know like some streamers will put like the whole screen shrunk, and then they can put all their extra junk on the side rather than covering up the screen. And maybe I should do something like that, you know, because we are doing a technical thing, and missing parts of the screen is a bigger deal than like if we were playing a game or something. All right, so what's the right way to dig into this? I think we need to get inside. We need to get the debugger running on this demo, I think. And we need to see what's getting passed to the C++ side, because we know the GD script side is working fine. So how are we going to do that? Let's take a look at the launch.json, and we have a couple of times where we did this. Let's grab this, throw it up here. This will be not demos. This is going to be tests. Functional. SG kinematic body to D. And then it was, what was it? Move and collide concave. Move and collide concave. All right, let's give this a try. What I didn't realize is that the sprites are not bouncing at the bottom of the screen, but in the middle. Oh, I bet that's what I screwed up. Oh man, I screwed this up crazy. So now it's going to bounce way over on the side. Oh, geez. What did I do? OBS, this has gone terribly wrong. Yeah, I've stretched it out, and I don't know how to unstretch it. Wait, what? What's happening now? Okay. It's still busted. Did I fix it? Is it fixed? Okay, we bounced to the right. The left. Hey! Sorry. Oh my gosh. OBS is confusing sometimes. Okay. Let's get back to trying to make this thing work. Okay, so we're running in the debugger. I am going to, or we're not running the debugger yet. I've set the configuration for us to run the debugger. All right, and now if I go to SG kinematic body to D and find move and slide, let's set a breakpoint, a couple of breakpoints, because sometimes it doesn't want to take my first one. And then let's, oh, it's already in here. Why? We didn't move anywhere. So P linear velocity, let's look at P linear velocity. We have a reference, which we actually can't drill into. But P linear velocity is valid. Return that. Okay. We should error out of here or just exit if linear velocity is 0. I don't know why we don't do that. But let me just kill this for now, and we'll make that check at the GD script level. So that's in move and collide concave. And so here we're going to say if, actually hang on, we'll do it earlier. So if input equals vector 2, 0, return. That'll make everything easier for us. So let's run this again. Okay, to the right. That should trigger the breakpoint. Did it? Yes. Okay, so what I did was I just pressed the right arrow key, which should mean this would get called. The P linear velocity should be pointing with just an x positive, x of our fixed point 1. And then let's Let's run through here. So we get the physics server. Oh, no, it did it. Whew. I've been having this issue with Godot 4 and GDB where I would hit, step over and then it would just continue instead of stepping over. And I always thought that was happening. Let's see if it'll just keep letting me step over. Okay, seems to be working. I had to switch to LLDB for a while, and maybe I'll go back to LLDB at some point, but... Oh, there it happened. It did the thing I was just saying. I'd press step over and it would continue. Okay. Let's switch back to LLDB. Or, I don't think I did it in this project. I think I switched to LLDB in my Godot 4 project. Let me open that up. Did I press continue? I thought I pressed step over. Okay, well, let's try it again then. If I really pressed continue. Okay, so press the right. It didn't trigger it, or it did. It's just being slow. Okay, so now I'm going to press step over. Just going to keep hitting step over for a little while. Okay, maybe I did hit continue. Thanks for catching that, Winfrey. What's the key for this F10? Okay, so it's checking if the up direction is valid. Otherwise, we default to, I think, no up direction. Oh man, maybe I should set a future breakpoint just so this doesn't go quite as slow. But basically, we want to just see at what point is it failing to do anything? Because it appears to be failing to actually move the body. And the question is, which point is failing? Okay, so now we're into the kind of core of this. Max slides. Do we actually decrement that? Is that how we do it? That's a funny way to do it. Whatever, it's fine. Motion internal. Okay. Not sure why we're using so many internal objects in here when this ultimately calls to the physics server, which wants not internal objects, but I guess it's fine. So move and collide. Let's step into, was that F11? F11. All right, so now here is where we essentially, so the physics server, all it's doing is like unwrapping the Godot level objects and converting them to the internal physics engine objects and then passing them to the physics engine. So that is what we should expect to see happen here. We'll want to verify that the objects look right. I don't know why it's saying unable to perform this action. Okay, here we go. So this object looks like a real object. The memory doesn't look corrupted or anything. So let's keep stepping through. Okay, now we're going to actually enter the real physics engine in a moment. Let's set a breakpoint here so I can just continue into here. All right, so now we want to scrutinize all this data. So we have p body. Does this look like a valid body? It does. Yep, all those values look right. Let's look at our linear velocity. It's 1, positive 1 on the x. Oops. 0 on the y, that's all correct. And this is, I think, actually return info. I should probably name that R collision rather than P collision to stick with the right naming convention. So let's step through here. So unstuck body, it shouldn't be stuck, so this should just return false right away. Let's find stuck. Stuck false, beautiful. So we should just skip over this section. Then we should attempt to move the body by the full amount here. So we get its original transform. Say the destination. Original transform. Okay, and then we set the transform on the body. So this should actually have moved it, right? So let's look at all this data here. So so the original transform should have as its third component the origin, which is whatever this value is, and then the test transform should have that plus the linear velocity, so the x should go up by 1, which it appears to. Y should stay the same. Also appears to be the case. So then this should actually change the transform of the body. I'm just going to jump into this code to see if there's any reason that wouldn't happen. So transform equals p transform. We mark the shapes as dirty. If it's in the broad phase, we update the broad phase. Huh. So far, everything just looks like it's doing the right thing. I've gotten lost here. I was in... I think we were in the physics server, and then we were in Move and Collide. Okay, here we are. F10. Check if we're colliding. We should not be colliding. What? How do we end up over here? Let's look at the stack trace. So move and slide, move and collide, move and collide. Unless we suddenly continued, but I didn't press F5. I know I didn't press F5. I definitely pressed F10. Huh. So move and collide, we updated the internal physics object. We did not update the node. That, I think, should be coming next. equals if there's no collision, which there is no collision, then we should break, and then we need to sync the position from there. I don't know. Everything looks like it's doing the right thing. I'm really not sure. Why is it not actually moving the object? I mean, I should dig deeper into the sync back from the physics engine to the nodes, and I just sort of glossed over that because we're out of time. I have to get going. But yeah. Well, I will say this. We solved a bunch of problems. We got a bunch of tests that weren't working. I think it's good enough to commit what we have, and then get it working the rest of the way on another iteration here. So let's say functional test SG. Anything change in source? No. Okay, let's look one last look at the staged changes. I think I'm fine with the debug messages still being in there. I'll remove them on the next iteration. I think this is good. We're going to say got test SG kinematic body 2D almost working. Well, thanks everyone for coming to the stream. It was great to be back after 2 weeks. And yeah, if you're not on the Discord, it's this way. Come join the Discord. We can hang out and chat some more. Otherwise, I think I will not be back next weekend. I'm going to go visit my pa for Christmas, or not Christmas, Easter, which also coincidentally falls on his birthday. So I will be out of town next weekend, leaving before the stream, or I guess around the same time the stream would have happened. But I guess 2 weeks from now, I will be back again. So yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. Take care, and yeah, see you on the interwebs. Bye-bye.